There are people here to help facilitate a wonderful conversation, and the most important part of the day is to hear from all of you who are sitting, who have dedicated your day and probably many hours outside of here to helping solve the crisis in the Bronx around opioid addiction.
Welcome to MCNY. We are very pleased to be able to host this event physically today.
Yes, this crisis is not new. This crisis has been around for a long time. Puerto Ricans came here in the 50s in large numbers within the diaspora, and within a very short time we had this huge heroin epidemic, and the leaders in our community at the time did the same thing. They said, we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to challenge ourselves to make a difference. How many people here know or know anything about Julio Martinez? During the 50s and 60s and 70s, Julio, with my friend Carlos Pagan, and a group of other leaders fought a battle exactly that we're fighting now. He brought the crisis directly to the elected officials and said, we're here and we're not going to go away until we have a solution. For the last 15 years, we took approximately 21 programs with multiple other agencies, and we brought them to this collective called Cutting Network. And it goes from Buffalo all the way to the capital, in Buffalo, I know it's Syracuse, and then all the way to Florida, Puerto Rico, and there are now, I think about 32 substance abuse programs that we have under the umbrella of Cutting Network, and all of them, just about all of them, were founded by the leaders of the Puerto Rican community of the 1950s. When they got together to fight this epidemic.
You know, I was born and raised in the South Bronx, and I've lived here all my life, and now I have the privilege to represent the community that I was born and raised in the city council, where I'm raising my child. And this community has always been ground zero for heroin, for opioid. And now it's a national epidemic. You know why? Because now opioid has hit prominent white communities. Now is the time communities like ours take advantage of this. Now is the time that we lead the charge as to what's happening nationwide in terms of heroin use. Narcan should be available just like a defibrillator is available in everywhere we go. Saving a life is what matters here, and that is the point of this forum and how we move forward on this.
We gather to honor and learn from the many ways and wisdom with which people who use drugs have been saving one another, loving one another back to life.
I know everyone in this room knows someone or has a family member or a community member that has died from an overdose.
I wanted to add a human face to the thing. I totally support the 4-point program, which is to reduce overdoses in the city. Come on, say yes?
Yes.
Say yes?
Yes.
Let me tell you about the stigma. For years and years and years, my family would whisper about my Aunt Bee's son. I understand personally the stigma involved with addiction. Because of recovery, I had a relationship with my cousin Bonnie before he passed away. But we are going to look at opportunities where we can bring people to the clinics, where we can have counseling sessions where people are. It's about the individual, and our commissioner is committed to the individual, and the work that is going on is about individuals.
So I just wanted to open up the floor. If anyone has thoughts about how this community can come together and address this issue.
People of color are still being placed in prison because of carrying marijuana, even though marijuana is becoming legal here, later on. I have to disagree. It is very much racist.
She mentioned the Rockefeller law, which is another issue that has to do with race, because Rockefeller only got involved when Art Linkletter's daughter jumped off the roof after taking a bad trip with acid.
Because it's important that once we get where we want to be, that we learn how to continue it.
I couldn't believe when I started February 5th, and already they don't even want to see their counselors.
We have to put the person first. When we talk about person-centered language, person-centered, former user.
Nothing destructive can be completely controlled or marginalized by the stigma. It's the mental oppression that follows. That depends on it.
When I said free, I'm not into my no Medicaid, no cash, no nothing. Straight free. That was my mission.
We got the K too. You know, I know this is about the opioid, but there's so much more drugs that's out there, and I want y'all to be open to cater to everybody in the community on their choice.
We don't want to steal your customers. We want to help you get them to get more access to treatment.
And meeting people where they're at has to include people that have not gotten there yet, right? And they still deserve to be treated with compassion and love, and to be asked questions that a lot of people are uncomfortable asking, like, what is great about using your drug of choice, right?
Communication and community, right? When you break down the word community, the first 4 letters is come. The next letters is unity or one.
5 areas. First one being availability of the opioids.
We also had a chance to talk a little bit about, in the last couple minutes, around the root causes, thinking again both about public safety but then also the larger crisis at hand.
Mental health services, and although it kind of deviates from the whole opioid crisis, I think all these health disparities combined.
Education about addiction across the board for all providers. So a lot of patients are going to, let's say, to a mental health clinic, or they're going to a pain management clinic.
It was coordination of care, trying to understand how you can collaborate with other providers, other places that kind of work together.
So what we talked about are some of the barriers with providers. We want to make sure that those who are in recovery have some agency around their treatment.
We talked about, in the Puerto Rican community, like the lady said in the video, things that happen in the house, you know, you keep it in the house, you don't discuss it outside.